Bloomberg, at the beginning of this debate, you took some incoming fire on this next topic, so let's get into it. In 2015, this is how you describe your policing policy as mayor. Quote, we put all the cops in the minority neighborhoods, and you explain that as, quote, because that's where all the crime is. You went on to say, and the way you should get the guns out of the kids' hands is to throw them against the wall and frisk them. You've apologized for that policy, but what does that kind of language say about how you view people of color or people in minority neighborhoods?
Well, if I go back and look at my time in office, the one thing that I'm really worried about, embarrassed about, was how it turned out with stop and frisk. When I got into office, there was 600.
How it turned out? Dude, that was a tried and tested method. There were a lot of other cities which implemented that, and it did not work. You are on record, you are on video or audio, I don't remember, but you are on record saying that police should specifically target minorities, and now you're saying you're embarrassed how it turned out. It turned out exactly how you planned it to be. Just target minorities. That's why it turned out the way it did.
150 murders a year in New York City. And I thought that my first responsibility was to give people the right to live. That's the basic right of everything. And we adopted a policy which had been in place, the policy that all big police departments use of stop and frisk. What happened, however, was it got out of control. And when I discovered that we were doing too many stop and frisks, we cut 95% of it out. And I've sat down with a bunch of African-American clergy and business people to talk about this, to try to learn. I've talked to a number of kids who'd been stopped, and I was trying to understand how we change our policies so we can keep the city safe, because the crime rate did go from 650, 50% down to 300, and we have to keep the lid on crime, but we cannot go out and stop people indiscriminately.
Mayor, thank you. Let me go to Vice President Biden.
You're still making the same argument. When you say the crime did go down, I have to look at it. I don't believe you. But if you're saying that because you started targeting minorities and the crime goes down, that's an argument most of the Republicans make. First of all, it's not true. Second of all, it's complicated, obviously, like everything is. Most of the crimes are driven out of poverty, not out of a specific racist tendency. Then you have to look at what is driving that poverty, and it's a whole different conversation altogether. But you are on record saying that police departments should target minorities, and then you later on learned that a lot of innocent people were caught into this shitstorm. No, you don't get to make that excuse, because you directed your police department to do that in the first place. So it's on you.
You want to respond to that?
Yes, let's get something straight. The reason that stop and frisk changed is because Barack Obama sent moderators to see what was going on. When we sent them there to say this practice has to stop, the mayor thought it was a terrible idea we send them there. A terrible idea. Let's get the facts straight. Let's get the order straight. And it's not whether he apologized or not, it's the policy. The policy was abhorrent, and it was, in fact, a violation of every right people have. And we are the one. Our administration sent in people to monitor it, and at the very time, the mayor argued against that. This idea that he figured out it was a bad idea. He figured out it was a bad idea after we sent in monitors and said it must stop. Even then, he continued the policy.
All right, Mayor, would you like to make a quick response to that?
Yes, I would. I've sat, I've apologized, I've asked for forgiveness, but the bottom line is that we stopped too many people, but the policy, we stopped too many people, and we've got to make sure that we do something about criminal justice in this country. There is no great answer to a lot of these problems, and if we took off everybody that was wrong off this panel, everybody that was wrong on criminal justice at some time in their careers, there'd be nobody else up here.
That's incorrect, but I'm hoping that Bernie get to make, a rebuttal to that stupid statement.
And, Senator Warren.
Let's be clear. I'm sorry, who did you call on?
Senator Warren.
Sorry.
I do think that this really is about leadership and accountability. When the mayor says that he apologized, listen very closely to the apology. The language he used is about stop and frisk. It's about how it turned out. Now, this isn't about how it turned out. This is about what it was designed to do to begin with. It targeted communities of color. It targeted black and brown men from the beginning. And if you want to issue a real apology, then the apology has to start with the intent of the plan as it was put together and the willful ignorance day by day by day of admitting what was happening, even as people protested in your own street, shutting out the sounds of people telling you how your own policy was breaking their lives. You need a different apology.
Senator,
here,
thank you.
Chuck,
Can I respond?
That was very strong statement. I loved it, how she attacked him and pointed out that, Bloomberg is apologizing only how it turned out rather than what was his intention to begin with. Good. I like that.